You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggles, stories, and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We are coming to you from Sun Prairie Community Radio Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Kademan, business coach and author of The Bold Business Book, along with my host, Mason Tikkanen, business owner and fellow captain of industry at Modus Financial. How's it going, Mason?
So great.
That's what we love to hear. Today, we are welcoming / preparing to grill Josh Kluge of Above All Else Photography. How's it going today, Josh?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
All right. You feeling good with the microphone and the headset on?
Feeling great.
That's what we like to hear. All right. So Josh has recently started a business. Mm-hmm. And what kind of business is it, Josh?
It's called Above All Else Photography. We specialize in aerial photography and video using drones.
Awesome. So tell me, drones.
Drones.
For the people that don't know, what's a drone?
A drone is basically kind of like a little helicopter, I suppose.
All right.
It's small. I use a controller, kind of like a PlayStation controller or something with an iPad stuck to it.
Okay.
And it's got 4K video and 20 megapixel pictures, and yeah.
All right. So when you say drone, you do not mean the kind that's flying around Iraq bombing stuff.
No, just the stuff that's flying around filming.
Nice.
Stuff.
All right. Perfect. So who would hire a drone photographer?
Drone photographer. It's a marketing tool. So anybody looking to market, so like real estate, market a house, a business that just made a new building that they want to show off, or they have, their factory, they want to have a fly through their factory. Construction companies that want to show off different phases of the construction project,
sure.
Things like that.
Sure. How hard is it to control a drone?
Well, I wouldn't say it's that hard, but in order to get the right angles, get the right pictures, get the right video, make sure things are smooth,
sure.
Takes a lot of practice.
Gotcha. Okay. So no running into buildings or anything like that?
You don't want to do that.
All right. Tell me, there must be something that says that you can or can't fly in certain places, I imagine.
Yeah. Yep. The FAA controls all the airspace. So anywhere, as soon as you take off, you are technically in FAA airspace, and you have to abide by their rules.
Gotcha. So 6 inches off the ground, that's their territory?
Not even.
Okay.
As soon as you take off, you're in their world.
All right. Very cool. So was there licensing or testing, or how did that work?
So you can be a hobbyist. A hobbyist means that you can fly. You have to follow a lot of rules the FAA has set up, but you can fly without having any license or anything, but you can't make any money.
Okay.
So in order to make money, be a commercial drone pilot, you have to take a knowledge test, pass it with a certain percentage, and you get your license basically to fly commercially.
Okay. Is that difficult, or is that just like easy, put your name on the test and away you go?
No. I mean, you got to have a lot of knowledge about airspace and where you can fly, when you can fly, how you can fly, all that kind of stuff. So
gotcha.
You got to sign up. I bought a program online for studying for a couple months just to make sure that you know everything, because there's a lot. You have to know a lot of stuff that even, like a pilot, like a manned aircraft pilot would have to. Not as much, but
sure.
You still have to know where you can fly, things like that.
Interesting. So it's safe to say that not everybody would be, just because you have a drone doesn't mean that you're skilled to the point of being able to make money off of drone piloting.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know a lot more than just, hey, I can take off and fly around the house.
Sure. Okay. Gotcha. Awesome. So was it tough to figure out what drone you were going to use?
Yeah, I did a lot of research. There's a ton of drones out there that, there's small little $20 drones up to $10,000+ drones. So I picked the one that was fairly easy to fly and that had the capabilities and of video and pictures that I wanted for the different applications I was going to use it for.
Gotcha. Okay, so when you say easy to fly, what is it like? Is that the control was easy, or?
So it's got GPS in it. It's got different sensors, so it helps you not crash. It doesn't eliminate the crashing, but it helps you not crash. And GPS helps you, as long as you have it on, it helps you hover in place. So if you run in a situation you don't know where to fly, whatever, you just let go of the controls and it will hover right where it's at.
Very cool. Okay, so does wind become a factor?
Yep, wind makes it a lot more difficult to fly in. Generally, I don't like to fly in anything over 12 mile an hour wind, because it just makes the video shaky and just makes it hard to fly. One way, going downwind, you can go really fast, but coming upwind makes it a lot more difficult.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to get into drone photography?
Well, the drone industry is relatively new. and the different applications that it provides is relatively new as well. So previously I owned a cleaning company and owned that for 7 years and was part of the organization for like 10 years.
Sure.
And I was just kind of bored of it, wanted to try something new. 2016, they opened up drone flying commercially to more people. They made it easier for people to get their commercial drone license, and that was the summer of 2016. So I thought, well, there's so many different applications. I mean, there's package delivery, there's, aerial real estate, things like that, for photography and video marketing. I thought, well, this is the new up-and-coming thing. Let's jump in it ground level.
Sure. So before summer of 2016, what was the deal?
Well, obviously, I wasn't part of the industry at that point. I just know that it was a lot harder to get your drone pilot's license to fly commercially. It was more, I believe, more for like pilots and things like that. There were manned pilots, and that's how it was.
Gotcha. So it just took a little while for the laws to catch up with the technology, essentially, right?
Exactly. And they're still trying to catch up with the different laws and regulations and rules and things.
Okay.
The FAA is still trying to catch up with how popular drones got so quickly.
Sure. I bet. You had a lot of little kids with a lot of drones flying around.
Well, like 25-year-old kids.
Right. Well, seriously, we are. Deep down inside, we just have bigger toys or fancier toys.
Yeah.
Right?
A little bigger budget.
I didn't have a $5,000 drone when I was a kid, but I guess it wasn't even a dream when I was a kid.
The only people I know with drones have money to buy those drones.
Sure. And then what do you do with the drone, though? When you get a toy, it's like my nephew just got some Nerf guns for Christmas, and there's only one thing you do with the Nerf gun, right? Is you shoot it. So, and then you're not going to shoot the wall like more than once.
Shoot your buddies.
Yeah.
Shoot your brother.
You're shooting people or just moving targets, right? So I think of a drone, like what are you going to do with the drone? You're just going to look at your grandma's garden? No, you want to see some cool stuff. So you're going to be exploring, and some of those places that you want to explore are probably not going to be places you either should or that they want you to explore.
Exactly.
Like above Camp Randall at certain inopportune times, right? So I imagine that there had to be some rules to catch up with that.
Right. Yeah. Initially, and actually currently right now, with a commercial license, there's basically like a blanket around the airport several miles out that is just no fly. Right now I've got an authorization it's called wide area authorization from the FAA that allows me to fly closer, basically kind of steps up. So right next to the airport or a little bit out, you can fly up to say 100 feet. And then you go out a little farther, it can go 150 feet. It gives me more access to the city.
Gotcha. Okay, because drone hitting an airplane would be bad.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Technically, I can go up to 400 feet, and a plane's not supposed to go below 500 feet unless they're taking off or landing. So there's a 100-foot buffer. That's what it's supposed to be. But
I imagine in the air, that's a small window, right? It seems like forever on land, but in air. Does your drone tell you how high it is?
Yep.
Okay.
It tells me how fast I'm going. It tells me what direction I'm going. It tells me how high I am.
Okay.
Yep. How far away I am.
Do you find those setting or those whatever the gauges or whatever it is that it shows you to be pretty accurate?
I would imagine because it uses the GPS and it also uses different sensors to say how far it is away from the ground.
Okay.
But obviously, how can you tell? I mean,
get a long yardstick.
Yeah, 400 feet up. Are we close?
We just have to calibrate this. That's why I wonder, like 100 feet, that's not that big of a window.
No.
I can remember being in a commercial airplane and seeing another airplane going the other direction. And I'm like, how close was that? Was that intentionally that close, or was somebody off a little bit?
Yeah.
Because you figure we're both going 400 miles an hour-ish, or whatever.
Maybe a little less.
Maybe a little less, whatever. Okay, call it 300. And if we collided, that means that we're collectively 600 miles an hour, which means that I wouldn't be alive to really think about who messed up. It's just bizarre. So I imagine same thing, right? With drone, you're in the air. It's all of a sudden you have a third dimension.
Right.
Instead of just being on the road. People have a hard time driving, right? They hit mailboxes and moving cars already. So.
Well, and that's with the FAA. They're trying to eliminate some of those problems because drones are getting so popular. So many more people are flying, especially in those exciting places. If you want to see Camp Randall, the Capitol, over the lakes, there's going to be a lot more people flying around. So they're trying to regulate that to alleviate crashes and things like that.
So you raised an interesting point. I was at a car show in Lake Mills this fall, and there were, I want to say 2 or 3 drones flying around. And I thought, okay, you got the rules in regards to airplanes and staying out of their airspace, but a drone, you can hear it, like this little buzz up in the air, but it is just a speck.
Right.
And there's other specks flying around, and I wondered, how do the other drone pilots know where the other drones are? So can a drone avoid hitting another drone?
I mean, they've got some of the drones have sensors to, like I said, try to avoid crashes. But if you have
Sure.
two drones going 20 miles an hour at each other,
Sure.
they're
gonna be a bad
they're
day.
gonna crash. Yeah.
I was just thinking there's cars that are worth, hundreds of thousands of dollars above here. So a drone would, a couple drones looking at this fancy car,
Yeah.
crash above it, and
Yeah.
then land on this fancy car.
Yeah, that'd be a bad day.
And then if you're the drone owner, do you go collect your drone, or are you just like, you know what? That wasn't mine.
Well, I don't know how it is for hobbyists, but for commercial drone pilots, you have to register your drone.
Oh,
and
okay.
inside the drone, you have to have it written down what your registration number is.
Okay.
So it's like when you decide to fly over by, say, like the White House or something and crash,
Sure.
you just run away. Well, they
Right.
know who you
They
are.
don't- okay. So you have a serial number or something? Okay.
Yep, like a registration number. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I'm sure insurance of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So-
Tell us about insurance, because that
Yeah.
has to be a new area.
It is, and a lot of insurance companies, they don't really know how to insure drones. You talk to a lot of different people, and they're like, well, I'm going to have to get back to you, because it's not like boat insurance or RV insurance. They don't know the risk exposure right now
Sure.
of what drones are and what they'll have to pay out for it. So there's different options. There's some companies that I believe strictly do drone insurance, and some of it include, they call it hull insurance, so it'll basically replace the drone or fix the drone if it crashes. And then there's liability insurance, so if you hit a house or a car or
Sure.
falls out of the sky and hits somebody,
Mm-hmm.
it will pay for that as well.
Gotcha. So from a liability point of view, what do you think the worst case scenario is? Like
Hitting-
likely to happen?
Well, likely to happen. I mean, if you follow the rules, the worst case scenario is you're going to crash your drone, and
Sure.
it's going to not hurt anybody. It's just going to crash into a field or
Sure.
whatever. Worst case scenario would be it fall out of the sky and hit somebody.
Okay. So are they, from a quality point of view, I mean, these motors are spinning how fast?
I don't know.
Thousands of RPM, right?
Right.
So, and it's a little electric motor. It's made in China somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So do they, like if one motor goes out, because there are 4 motors, I think?
On mine, yep, there's
Okay.
4.
So if one goes out, is that a bad day or is that common?
That's a bad day. The thing
Okay.
falls out. It's not like a fail safe. It'll just fall out of the sky.
Sure. So I wonder, like I was a car mechanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we used to do brakes on a car, and then you would take it out for a drive and then make sure the car could stop.
Right.
And I always think like with an airplane, you just go for a test flight. Let me know if I did my job. Just seems like okay. There's got to be a better way, but I don't know that better way outside of testing it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine different gauges or different ways to test how strong the motor is or
Sure.
something. I don't know. But, I mean, for me, testing it, you just take off and you go 4 feet above the ground.
Okay.
And if it takes off, cool.
Sure.
If not, well, then there's an issue.
Sure. Interesting. That's fascinating to me. That just being able to steer with 4 motors, that's fascinating from a technology point of view.
Well, and they spin different ways, too, depending on how you're turning.
Mhm.
You can spin counterclockwise, clockwise, and it's really cool to take a picture or a video of the drone and the propeller spinning, because you can really see them changing direction and stuff. And sometimes it looks like one of them's not even moving. I don't know the science behind it all, but it's pretty cool.
Sure. Interesting.
So Josh, you'd mentioned that you wanted to get into it because it was a new industry and you were kind of bored with your last one. But, what, I guess, what about it drew you to it? Because, there's all kinds of stuff that's new that people just aren't going to necessarily jump on without some kind of interest driving them. So
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. So photography has always been an interest of mine. It wasn't ever really a hobby. My dad's been an amateur photographer for 40-something years, and I always thought it was cool the way he was able to capture different moments with a camera. And growing up, I always thought, RC cars and toy helicopters and things like that were really cool. Well, then you get older and you still want to do those, we talked about we're just a bunch of kids, right?
Mhm.
You want to do those fun
Turns
things
out.
that you got to do when you were a kid. So I just put the two things together, saw the new regulations that were coming out that allowed easier access to flying, and jumped on it.
Nice.
So have you done any, I'm sure you have in testing, but have you made an effort for any photography other than commercial, just during your spare time? You want to take a cool picture of a bridge or something? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I've flown over off of Lake Monona over at, what is that? Not Olin Park. Yeah, Olin Park.
Could
Yep.
be, yeah.
Yeah, over up on the hill, Olin Park, where they have the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Up there, flew it over not over towards the Capitol, but over the lake, looking at the Capitol, looking at the Monona Terrace, things like that. My buddy's got some property up in Mauston, and I went and flew it around his cabin and around his property and things. So yeah, I mean, everywhere that I go that I can take it, I'll take it, and it's just more practice and get different things in my portfolio, I guess.
So when you talked about the idea of people filming kind of inside buildings, is there like a flight path that you design and program for it to go, or are you just steering it kind of mid-flight?
Well, you can do both. So I do have, it's called automated flight, autonomous flying, that you can pre-program. Basically, it looks like a kind of a Google Earth thing, and you pre-program on your computer a flight path. So you can do that, and you can do different altitudes, how fast you're going to go, where the camera's pointed, points of interest, what to do at the end. It either lands or goes in reverse and comes back. And at any time during the autonomous flight, you just flip a switch, say you're wrong path or something like that, and just flip a switch, and then you're flying manually.
Yeah, I suppose you make a miscalculation and you run your drone right into a pylon.
Well, exactly. And the GPS, I mean, is as good as it is. It's not always perfect, and sometimes, I mean, you can even fly a mission, fly a flight path, and drop waypoints. And even doing that, sometimes it's not perfect. You'll still go back and basically push play and let it fly itself, and sometimes it's just not lining up quite right. So then you abort and try it again.
Yeah.
Nice. That's interesting. So are there what's the biggest challenge that you have to deal with in regards to starting the drone business?
Biggest challenge for me probably is just getting in front of people to show them, because it is relatively new, getting in front of people to show them how I can benefit their business, how I can help them market, how I can help them show off their new buildings, show off their new products, show off their real estate, whatever it might be.
Gotcha. So it's somewhat of an education issue.
Exactly. Yep.
All right.
Yep. With any new industry, you got to educate people, and because there's not a ton of people out there right now doing it, you got to show people how it can benefit them.
Sure. So when somebody says that they're not interested, or what are some of the challenges that they give you? Like, oh, I don't understand this fancy drone stuff, or
well, my guess is that because it's new, nobody's ever used it in the past. Nobody's needed it. You have real estate, and they just have their exterior photos and they have their interior photos. Well,
sure.
Why would I pay more to have something that I've been okay with not having? And my response to that is, it's a lot more interesting to see a house from 100 feet up, 200 feet up. It's a different perspective. And you put a drone video online, say for real estate, you're going to get more interest. People are going to want to look at it. You're going to get more exposure. And it's a lot different than just a flat picture or a video from the ground.
Sure. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. So I imagine some people are like, we've never used it before. We've sold houses before, so what's the big deal?
Exactly.
But realistically, this is offering some marketing, a different perspective, and it can give the buyer something more to see that they can't necessarily see with pictures.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Plus, I imagine there's a coolness factor.
Very. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when there's a drone video up, people stop and they look. They want to see what's going on because it is cool. It is new. It's something that you want to see. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So can you just take us through that coolness factor in regards to the other industries that you work with?
Yeah. So coolness factor, let's say in construction, you're building a big building of some sort, multiple levels. It could be a single level, and you break ground. You want to see what that looks like from above. You start laying the foundation. You're able to show your investors. You're able to show the owner. You're able to show different progress reports at different points. That then you don't have to have all these people come on site. They can get a better perspective just sending them an email with a picture or a short video showing where the progress is of that building, things like that. Say golf courses or ski resorts, things like that. You're able to, for a golf course, you're able to the drone can almost be like the ball. You start out at the tee and you fly out, and it almost is a perspective of the ball. Fly right down towards the hole.
Super
it's just
cool.
Then it, for really people really big into golf, things like that, you can see how the earth tilts a little bit, or how I'm not big into golf, but how the hole is supposed to be and how they should actually be shooting it, things like that. Ski resort, same thing. You're big into skiing. You want to know how the hill slopes and where the turns are and things like that. And having a video or having aerial photos of it is going to show it a lot better than a map or just a flat picture.
Sure.
That makes perfect sense. Now I'm just tickled of watching the idea of watching drone.
Yeah, like you're big into golf, right?
Golf videos.
So
That'd be
how
cool
would that be if they had a little screen at the tee, right? And you could see what the ball is supposed to do.
Or just on your phone.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
Pull up an app.
That's
and there
cool.
are some really high, big name golf courses out of state, maybe California or Florida, Arizona, things like that, that they're already doing this. They're already having these flyovers and things. And I'm, hopefully having that around here, that'd be pretty cool too.
You're the heart of it, right?
Exactly.
Nice.
So, tell me a little bit about the cameras on there, because I mean, if this drone's up there with like a 40-year-old
GoPro
micro camera,
right?
a little Nokia from 1998, that's not going to be nearly as exciting as a cinematic caliber camera. So tell me a little bit about some of the options.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different options for drones. Right, my drone has a 4K wide-angle lens camera on it, so it's nice for big open areas. You can get a whole construction project or a whole piece of property in one picture. You can see everything. There's different drones that have different lenses. You can zoom lenses or different things like that, but they're all digital 4K generally. The professional ones, digital 4K cameras that take really awesome pictures.
Nice. So 4K has got to take up crazy amounts of memory, right?
Yeah, you can get, I think I have a 32 gig card, and I think I probably get maybe an hour of flight time, and it's full.
32 gig.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you have to upload that somewhere and deliver it to the customer somehow.
Exactly.
And is there
generally customers don't need it in 4K,
Sure.
but I like to film it in the best quality I can, and it gives you more options when you're doing different post-production stuff.
So when you're 400 feet in the air,
Mm-hmm.
how tight of a detail can you get on the ground? Like, are you counting dust pellets on the roof of a car kind of thing? Or?
No, not with my lens. Like I said, I've got a wide angle, so it's more kind of a broad look. I mean, you can zoom in, but from 400 feet, and that's pretty far away.
Sure.
Any camera's going to struggle to see.
So just give me an idea of what detail you'd see on the ground.
So when I was at my friend's land, before we were leaving to go home, I took the drone up and was flying around. And my little iPad, it's got good detail, but when you're flying, you're not exactly looking at everything on the ground. Well, I brought it back home, and I saw that I actually picked up some deer on a trail when I was 400 feet up.
Oh, very
And you
cool.
could see that they were deer. You could see there was 3 of them, and where they were walking and stuff. So a deer from 400 feet away, or 400 feet up, you can see.
That's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Very cool. So what is there must be something that you love about running this business.
Yeah.
Right? Besides just flying a drone. Or
Mhm.
maybe that is it. I don't know. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? What excites you about the business?
Well, so being 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet in the air gives you a different perspective that you've never seen. Things that your whole life that you've looked at just from the ground level, say the Capitol, the Monona Terrace, Lake Monona, you can all of a sudden see from a different perspective that you've never seen before. And, that's half the fun of doing it, is getting up and just seeing the world differently. You started out, when I first bought it, I started out with my house. Every day you pull in your driveway, you see the same thing. You get up 100 feet, get up 200 feet, all of a sudden things look completely different. You can't maybe even pick out your house anymore at 200, not because the quality's bad, but just because it looks completely different.
Sure.
You don't ever see your house from 400 feet up. You don't ever see these different landmarks. So it's just in its adventure. Every time you go up, you don't know what things are going to look like. And it's just the adventure of it every day, checking things out and giving myself and other people a different perspective.
Sure. That's really cool. Do you have to learn or create an eye for what looks good and versus what's just any old view, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's practice, and you take enough pictures and you bring them back down, look at them, and see what they look like, and you
Sure.
start to get an idea of what looks good and what doesn't, and how to take better video, things like that. And so, you're always learning, and that's why I like to take the drone wherever I go, and wherever there's an opportunity to fly, do it, because you just learn way more by doing it than you do just reading a book or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
yep.
awesome. So you got the science of getting the FAA certification and learning how to control the drone and the logistics and technology that goes in there, and then the art of actually taking a good picture with the camera itself that's on the drone.
Yep, those
That's
are
fascinating.
two completely different things. Yeah, you first get it, and it's fun. You're racing around. I mean, my drone goes 40 plus miles an hour. Like, it's fun.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You get into a good tailwind. I've had it go 50 miles an hour, which is crazy.
Is that tough to control at that speed?
Well, I mean, you don't do that on the ground level. You do it, 400 feet
Up
up
in the air,
over a cornfield or something. But
I just
Fewer obstacles.
Exactly.
Sure. I just wonder, like, the range from your controller to the drone can't be miles, is it?
It can be miles if it's wide open. Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to keep it within visual line of sight. That's part of the rules on either hobbyist or commercial, is keeping it within line of sight. So the controller and the drone will probably go farther than what you can actually see.
Gotcha. Does line of sight include binoculars?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I've never gone out with the binoculars and.
Like, do you see the drone?
Yeah,
it's that little speck. Tell us about flying at night.
Yeah, can't fly at night without an FAA authorization, and then you have to explain to them why you're doing it, what you're doing it, and how you're going to keep it safe.
Well, it's one shot. So it's not a permanent I can fly at night license or anything like that.
They might have a wide area authorization for nighttime flying. I haven't got into that because I've never needed to fly at night.
Sure.
But
you can't see much, so.
Well, right. I mean, you can't see much. Visual line of sight goes away generally. I mean,
I would think
it does have blinking lights on it,
Sure.
so you can tell what's forward and what's backwards. It's got different colored lights on it, but you get to a certain point and you're not going to be able to see it very well. So. Yeah, nighttime flying.
Pointing out the obvious for me. I appreciate that. Didn't even think about that, right? It's dark. You can't see it.
So, like, what kind of load, is this able to carry? Like, for example, if you were to say something like, well, then I'll just put a bigger, brighter, more obnoxious light for me to be able to see this thing at night. Like a... like a spotlight, a deer spotter.
Sure. 100,000 lumen, whatever.
A floodlight, right? And what kind of load?
I mean, there's my drone's not for lifting or for carrying things, but they've got drones. I mean, you're talking about the Army drones, military drones. I mean, they can carry tons of weight. But my drone's not really meant to carry things. You can add different accessories. You can add different lights on it. You can actually also add things for like thermal imaging. You can actually put another camera onto the drone for thermal imaging, so it can
You're
carry.
Talking like Predator thermal imaging?
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you can heat signatures, things like that for search and rescue, different things like that.
So an installation company could hire you to look at a house and tell them whether they did their job or need to do a job.
Yeah,
or something
and energy audits,
That'd be
definitely.
interesting.
Or you could just fly down, let's say, East Washington and look at all the commercial property and then point out to, or an installation company could just say, we have 10 huge leads because we can tell that you guys are terribly inefficient or whatever.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, you could definitely do that.
Huh. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I like that. What else do you have for options?
Could you put a branded sign sticking up off your
like
drone?
a banner?
It's got your logo on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Fluorescent.
Legally, I don't know what that,
sign.
if you're able to do that. Well, I would imagine that there shouldn't be any issues with that as long as you're following the other rules the FAA has set up.
Yeah.
Do they do skywriting with drones?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Be
but
challenging.
yeah, I mean, so my drone is like 3 pounds. So it can't carry, like I said, can't carry a ton of stuff, but there are a lot bigger drones that can carry, like DSLR cameras and zoom lenses and things like that, that they have a gimbal on it, so everything stays nice and straight, even when you're making turns, things like that. So there are bigger drones that you would need for different applications. But right now, I'm not using those applications, so I don't need the bigger drone.
And of that 3 pounds, how much of that is battery?
It's a good chunk of it. I mean, the battery's probably, I don't know, half a pound, maybe a pound. It's a big chunk.
Okay, nice, interesting. Huh, that's clever.
Yeah.
So you started this business from scratch,
mm-hmm.
And I'm always curious. You're married, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did your wife feel about you starting a business?
It took a little convincing to start a business because I had just sold a business,
mm-hmm.
and So it took a little bit of convincing that this was the next big thing and that this was a good idea, and spending money on something that, is not a sure thing.
Sure.
That was the right thing to do. But eventually she saw the passion I had for it,
right,
and said, let's do it.
All right. Very cool. What have been your biggest challenges then in starting your business?
Biggest challenges. Like I said before, biggest challenge is just getting in front of people and trying to explain to them what I can do for them, how I can help them, why. Not necessarily why I'm the guy for the job, because there's not a ton of guys out there for the job, but it's why they need what I can give them, and finding out what they need so I can figure out what to give them. That's kind of the biggest challenge, because it's not just, you can't just put a menu up there and say, okay, order off the menu. What do you want? Because there's so many variations in what a customer could want. How high do you want to fly? What do you want to see? Do you want a video? Are we going to be editing the video? There's just a lot of different things. So I think it's getting in front of people and finding exactly what they want, and then tailoring a project for them.
Sure. I always think about that. I imagine with your business, Mason, I know my business definitely, it's like asking a brain surgeon, how much is brain surgery? There's so many variables that they can't just say, well, you know what, if you come in on Tuesday, it's $5. Or maybe don't pay $5 for brain surgery.
For Tuesday. Yeah.
It's one of those things that there's so many variables that there has to be an education aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And generally speaking, people don't want to be educated, right?
Well, they don't have the time, or they don't make the time
Sure.
to figure it out. I'm fine with how things are. I
Sure.
don't need to change. But
Yep.
there's a lot more that people can do and get out of drones if they just listen a little bit.
Learn, sure, right?
Yeah.
I've been banging my head against this wall so often, it seems to be working for me.
Yeah,
so
right.
why would I turn to a different wall?
Yeah,
A softer wall, right?
exactly.
So it's interesting. So you must have some good stories in regards to getting drone footage or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's...
You want to share one?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Next question. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of cool different projects. There was this one project that I did that a guy called me up and said, hey, there's a development going in across the street from my house. I just wanted some video of what it looks like now so I can show my kids, whatever. So I get there, and there was a development coming in across the street, but it basically turned more into like a lifestyle shoot. So they had this big, beautiful house, 3 acres out in Fitchburg, and they wanted me to basically just kind of follow them around doing yard work and
Sure.
hanging out on their front porch and, drinking and whatever else they were doing. And it was a really interesting way to do drone photography that I never thought of before.
Sure.
They had, 4 or 5 different porches. They had some elevated on their second floor and some on the first floor, and the drone just made a lot of sense to work for them. So
Sure.
it was something that I wasn't prepared for, but it
Right.
was definitely interesting and turned out really well.
Sure. There's a lot of variables in art, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's super cool.
Have you ever, other than the deer, unintentionally caught something on video that you kind of wish maybe you didn't?
Where are you going with that?
This is a safe place.
tell
I want to
me.
remind you, this is a safe place. It's just the 3 of us in this room.
That's funny.
Us and the rest of the world, but mostly just us.
Yeah. No, I mean, there hasn't ever been anything that I'm like, oh, wow, how did that get on there?
Is that somebody with a shovel in the woods? What's going on?
Yeah, like, what is that guy doing back there?
No, it was exciting to see the deer because I had never caught anything that I didn't initially see on the iPad besides quality. I mean, looking at an iPad looks cool, but once you put it on a bigger screen, just the quality blows up and things look really awesome.
Sure.
So besides seeing something on my iPad and thinking, oh, that could be better, and then looking on my computer and it was better, the deer was the only thing that I saw that was different than what I thought I was going to see.
Nice. Are there ever times that you have to go back to get some video that you thought you got but you just didn't, or the quality wasn't there? Or
yeah, there's been a couple times. One time I set up a shoot and we were supposed to have calm winds. I get there and the winds picked up to like 20 miles an hour. And I was supposed to do this big project and flying around, and they had very specific ways that they wanted me to fly and different flight paths and things like that. And it just wasn't working. Like I said, going downwind, it was, I could go like 50 miles an hour, but it was struggling to get to 10 miles an hour coming back. And with a battery life of, 25, 30 minutes, you couldn't get much done doing that. So I had to come back for that. And just a couple other things where, say you miss something. I was doing a marketing piece for a credit union, and I missed a shot that they had wanted, so came back, a day or two later and got the shot, and actually it turned out better because they wanted nobody in the parking lot. So it looked like nobody, the business was closed. So I came back the next time, and there was actually people driving in, and it looked more lively and more exciting and more active. So actually it turned out better for them.
Nice. So in the case of how long did you say it lasted? 20, 25 minutes, something like that?
Between 25 and 30 minutes, yeah,
Okay.
depending on, different factors, how
Sure.
fast you're flying, how the wind.
So I imagine you end up with a ton of video, and people aren't going to sit through a 20-minute drone video, so
Right.
you have to edit that down.
Mhm.
So can you tell us about just the editing and what has to happen with that?
Yeah, so you get all the shots that you want, and you get them multiple different ways, different angles, things like that. So you just have a good base of film to go off of, and then I take it back, input it in my computer. You need a lot of external hard drives to save all that video,
Sure.
and then you go through, and depending on what the customer's wants and needs are, you put it in and you start cutting it and start putting in transitions. If they want background music, if they want voiceover, all that kind of stuff, you put it together, and depending on how long they want the video to be, like you said, nobody wants to sit for a 20-minute video, especially if it's going on, Facebook or YouTube or something. You
Sure.
want it quick. You want to keep people's attention, and then it's gone. Then they gotta go. Then they go on to something else.
Sure.
So you want to be quick with that. So, then you put it all together, get the audio how you want it, make sure everything's lined up, and then you render it to the format that the customer wants. So if they want it 4K, cool. Most people can't watch 4K. It's
Sure.
still relatively new. So usually, 1080 works out really well.
Okay.
And give the files to the customer, and they use it with whatever application they can use it for.
So you can take all that footage, chop it up, edit it down to the 1 minute, 30 second, 10 second, whatever clip they want.
Yep.
Do you throw music on there, or
Yep, can throw-
voiceover, or
Yep.
how does that work?
Yeah, I can throw music on there. Usually I'll throw music on there if it's like a real estate project or marketing for a business, something. They'll tell me kind of the vibe, the feel they want of the video.
Sure.
And then either I'll come up with something, or I'll give them a list of different music that I feel like kind of represents what they're looking for. And or voiceover, if they want a voiceover, can do that too.
Gotcha. Very cool. So what have been some of your favorite end projects that you ended up with, like the end result?
Something that I thought maybe was going to be a little bit boring. I did an orbit over a business, and they wanted something for their lobby just to kind of, show off their building.
Sure.
So I just did a 2-minute loop of an orbit over their building, and it actually turned out really cool. It was simple and not a lot going on, but again, it shows a different perspective that people don't see every day.
Sure.
So that was an interesting shoot. It's always fun to go, to a big property. I did a real estate shoot up by Verona, and it was an 8-acre old farm, and they had a stream going through it, and just get to get up high, and you actually get to see the property lines and the boundaries and the old fence lines and things like that. And it just it's like I said, every shoot is new and exciting, and you get to see a new place every time you go flying.
Nice.
So after about the first 2 or 3 days that you fly around your house, you're like, okay, I'm bored. Now I got to go around the neighborhood. Okay, the neighborhood's boring. Now let's go
Sure.
find cool places to go check out.
All right. Let's check out the dump, right?
And that might be, again, a different perspective. Driving into a dump doesn't look great. But
Sure.
if you get 400, 200, 300, 400 feet up,
Right?
it's going to look different. It's
Maybe
gonna
you start recycling then. I don't know.
look exactly.
How big is this place?
Yeah.
Nice. So one of the things that we like to ask here on Authentic Business Adventures is why you do what you do. Because there's going to be some challenges in business, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got challenges in like, hey, these insurance companies don't even know what to do with you. There's some potential customers that aren't even aware of what you do or how you do it or how it can benefit their business. You got some family people that are challenging you, like, wait, what are you doing? Kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of things that are pushing against you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in starting any business, you're going somewhat upstream,
Right.
right? Going against the current a little bit. So realistically, what I like to think of is, I don't know, there's a lifeblood in a person that has this drive to push against that, where it's a non-issue.
Mm-hmm.
Current, the fact that I'm going against the grain and not getting a daytime job or whatever, that's a non-issue.
Right.
So tell us about your why, your reason for starting this business and continuing with it.
Right. Well, the why is first of all, I needed a way to make money, right? You need a way to support
There's
your
that,
family.
all right.
So there's that. And so the why for this particular business was, like I said, the regulations were coming through that actually made it possible for me to go out and do this as a business. And when I first started out with a drone, I thought, well, this is cool. Let's see if we can make a business out of it. Let's see what I can do with it. And I thought, well, real estate, that's where I want to go. I thought that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It still is, but I found that it's so much more than just doing, filming a house, doing real estate. Like I've really got into liking the marketing aspect of how can I make this property? How can I make this business as appealing as possible to their audience, to their customer base. And, you know, having these customers ask, okay, well, we want to showcase this a certain way. You know, it excites me to be able to do that and find a way to portray their product, their business, their company, whatever, in the light that they want, and do it in a creative way. So that's what pushes me, is because I know what it is to have a business and to want to market yourself and to want to show off what you can do and how you can do it. And using a drone to do that can really show a lot more in, you know, like they say, what a photo's worth 1,000 words or something. Having a cool aerial picture can get your point across without very many words and keep that person's attention, or, you know, keep that person's attention long enough to get your point across without too many words.
Sure.
And so that's what drives me to do it. It's fun. It's creative. Every time I go out and fly, it's a new adventure. I see something new. I find out something new. I learn something more. And just working with the customers to find out what I can do to help them out. That's what keeps me doing it.
Nice. That's cool. So where do you see yourself in 3 years with the business?
Where do I see myself in 3 years with the business? You know, getting into different aspects of drone flying. So, you know, we talked about energy audits before. So, you know, different thermal imaging with commercial buildings, with real estate, things like that. Also, something that is not really a market, but something that I'd like to get into and like to help with is search and rescue. You hear all the time about a drone coming in and finding something that a search party couldn't find.
Sure.
And, you know, with how cold it is today, you know, your grandpa goes out for a drive and car breaks down and he starts walking somewhere and gets lost or whatever. If you can't find him right away, he's not going to make it. You get a drone out there, and with thermal imaging, or even not thermal imaging, just looking, you know, being able to search so much more, it's really going to, you know, increase the likelihood you're going to find them and somebody's going to be okay.
Sure.
So that's where I see kind of my business going, continuing with helping businesses market, but, you know, kind of more of a personal gratification would be to help out with that kind of search and rescue and things like that.
Gotcha. Is that something you can get involved in the area that you're in now?
Yeah. I don't see why not. I mean, it would just be reaching out to, you know, different emergency services kind of a thing, and
gotcha.
Be a phone number for them to, I guess. I don't know.
Call Josh. Get a red phone and everything.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
just
awesome.
put the Batman sign up
Sure.
in the air.
So you probably need a different logo, like your A logo or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So when we see that, we know Josh is on.
It's just a drone, just a big light drone.
And realistically, this is something you could do just on your recliner, right? Just send the drone up, and then as long as you have line of sight, looking out the window, you can rescue someone.
If somebody's lost my backyard, yeah, I suppose.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, if someone was lost in the woods or something like that, instead of having 100 people do a line, you could just send up a drone with one dude and be like, yeah, they're over there.
Yeah.
I got it. Took me 5 minutes. Right.
Well, and it can be as easy as that. I mean, obviously, it's not always that easy. But
sure. The technology is interesting, and that it's up in the air, and not people wouldn't necessarily know that it was there or available or something like that. Man, there's all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, what got me sparked in that or interested in that was a animal rescue actually called me a couple months back, and there was a dog that came from Texas.
Okay.
And the night that they came to the foster parents' house, they broke through the screen door and was loose. So they actually
the dog?
The dog, yeah.
Okay.
The dog got loose. So somehow they found me. They looked up drone photography or something, found me. And although I wasn't able to find the dog, I was out there helping and searching around. So that got me like, wow, this could be, you know, more than just a marketing piece. This could be, you know, something to actually help people, help animals, things like that.
So in that case specifically, did you use the thermal imaging?
No. I don't have thermal imaging currently, but
Gotcha.
It's something that I want to add to my arsenal at some point. But yeah, I was just up in the air searching through open cornfields, through woods, things like that.
Sure.
Trying to help, you know, find the dog.
Gotcha. How big of a deal is it to add thermal imaging? Is it like $50,000 or something?
No, I mean, there's obviously, like everything, there's different ranges of price ranges, but for my current drone to add thermal imaging would probably, I don't know, I think the camera's $1,000.
Okay.
And then you got to add the mount and things like that.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. So a healthy nut.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. You must have a website.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You want to share it with us?
MadisonDronePhotos.com.
Okay, MadisonDronePhotos.com. And tell us, what can they find on the website?
You can find what we do, different projects we've done in the past, different services that we can provide, videos, pictures,
Okay.
kind of a bio of who I am, what I do, kind of what
Sure.
we're talking about right now.
Sure. So there's sample videos and
Sample
give people an
videos
idea.
from different customers that I've done videos for.
Okay.
Different pictures that I've done for customers, and also just personally that I thought were interesting. Put up
Sure.
on my website.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nice. And you can do all the editing, so in regards to adding watermarks or logos or
Mhm.
text, I don't know, whatever.
Yep. Text, voiceover, watermark, any sort of digital format that you'd want it saved in. Yeah. Size-wise, if you needed, 10 megabytes to fit on your website, or whatever it might be. Yeah, we can make
Sure.
it anything you'd need.
Nice. Very cool. I feel like there's a story that you're hiding from us as far as maybe a drone, something that just turned into something different. I feel like you could have so many possibilities for what you could run into.
Yeah.
Is there any one of those you want to share?
No.
Once again, this is a safe this is a safe place. It's just the three of us and the rest of the world
Yeah. All right.
in this room, right?
All right, you pushed me. So, when I first started practicing with my autonomous flying, I was actually down in a place in Sun Prairie. There's a fountain down in the business park.
Okay.
So I was down there and I was flying and set up my mission beforehand and went to take off. And I didn't really know what was going to happen because I'd never done it before. So, reading something can only prepare you so much.
Sure.
You got to actually go do it. Well, I did it, and you shouldn't take off a drone underneath a tree.
Okay.
That is a good story. So you don't take off under a tree. So I took off, and the thing went straight up, smashed into the tree, almost crashed into the water,
Oh,
took back off. The camera was flopping all around, and it wasn't very responsive
Sure.
to my trying to control it. I managed to get it back and tried to fix it myself, which made it worse, and had to call in somebody who actually fixes drones for a living and
sure.
fix it. But that was definitely unexpected.
All right.
As soon as I reviewed the footage of it, and it got within an inch of the top of the water. And once it goes in the water, it's done. You're not
Sure. Game over.
It's dead. Just leave it and go home. But live to fight another day. But
Sure.
luckily, I got it back and was able to fix it, and it wasn't terrible. But
Sure.
that was definitely a scary situation.
All right. So education through experience.
Exactly.
Best kind.
That's why you don't do something new with a customer that you haven't done yourself.
Sure.
Just, try it out when nobody's watching, kind of a thing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
See, I love this stuff. And I imagine that's the only time that you've ever had an issue,
It's the
right?
only time I've ever had an issue.
From now,
Ever.
everything's been perfect.
Ever.
It's all
Tip-top
good.
and wonderful.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Drone's
Awesome.
working perfectly, good as new, and I learned a valuable experience. You don't use the autonomous flying underneath the tree, but first you take off and make sure you're in open sky before you start your mission.
Sure. Well, I imagine so telephone lines are a thing too.
Telephone lines and trees and buildings and birds.
All right.
Yeah.
Really tall people with their arms stretched out.
Yeah.
Just
Could be.
That's awesome. So it's above all else photography. Tell us a little bit about the name.
So, I mean, the obvious part, above all else, is a drone is kind of above the world. It's looking down and checking things out with, above all else. And also, I am Christian, so above all else is, God is above all else. So it's kind of a dual purpose meaning.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And who designed your logo?
So my wife's got a friend who is a logo maker, a graphic designer.
Okay.
a logo maker.
A logo smith?
Yeah, a logo smith. Exactly. So he took care of the design, and we just, my wife is all into design, so she picked the colors and said, "This is what I want the colors to be.
Sure.
Give us something cool." So it's got an A. It's got above all, so 2 A's and then an E.
Gotcha.
All kind of wrapped into one.
Sure.
So,
Above all else photography. It's
Yep.
simple enough.
exactly.
I like it. Well, we only have a few minutes left here, so is there anything else you want to share with just us three and maybe the world in regards to your business?
Well, I think we kind of went over everything that I wanted to and didn't want to talk about. So I think we're pretty good.
Cool. Mason, how are you feeling?
So great. We're in here on a lovely day.
Yeah.
It's negative 5
Psycho cold.
Balmy.
degrees outside. Sun's shining. Birds are crying.
Sure. Right. Why don't I have more feathers?
And then they get to see drones flying around saying, look at that guy.
Sure. Sure. Are there any anti-drone people?
Yeah, if you YouTube, how to catch a drone or anti-drone, yeah, they've got people that have made some really, really intricate designs on how to shoot down drones.
Seriously?
Not with just, a gun, like it would be obvious, but like these big cannon things that have nets that can take, nets with...
Really?
Yeah, big nuts on the end, so it shoots and hits the drone, and then the propellers are spinning, so they just wrap them all up and knock them down. Yeah.
Jesus.
So not only have to worry about, people shooting them, but these different fun things that they use to knock them over.
So why is this a privacy thing, or is it a I just hate technology, or?
It depends on who it is. Sometimes it's a privacy thing. Sometimes people, they think somebody's spying on them, that kind of privacy thing. And
Okay.
I think other times people just, hey, there's something flying around by my house, I'll just shoot at it. I don't know. I mean, people
That seems like
weird.
a lot of work.
Well, yeah, the video I saw the other day of how to make this drone catching thing, it was a ton of work, and you had to have like a metal lathe, and you had to have all kinds of craziness to make it. I don't think anybody would ever do it. It was just for this YouTube video, but
Sure.
yeah.
Well, if you have a metal lathe, you're either going one of two directions, right? You're either saving
Right.
the planet or
Right.
you're destroying it.
Exactly.
There's no like, I'm just a hobbyist. Right,
I'm
with
a
the metal.
hobbyist metal lathe man.
So that's interesting.
Hmm.
See, this is cool. So from an insurance point of view, is there a liability check for like, hey, some crazy guy shot my drone out of the sky?
I would imagine it would be like vandalism,
Okay.
probably. That would probably be how it would be classified.
That is crazy.
Diabolical opponent rider.
Sure.
Yeah, I should probably look into that. I might need that.
The evil nemesis. Right?
Villainous.
That is fantastic. All right. So far, your drone has not gotten shot out of the sky.
Correct.
Has there been anybody that's challenged you when you went to fly the thing?
No, never. I mean, people, as soon as you take off, people are excited. They're interested. They want to
Sure.
know what you're doing. They want
Okay.
to know how it works. And,
Right.
I made sure I talked to all my neighbors when I first got it and said, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm not,
Sure.
checking out your house or anything.
Sure.
I'm just practicing for my business. and-
Stop sunbathing naked or keep going. One of the two.
yeah, and you could pay me for the images later. Whatever.
For blackmail.
Sure.
Well, that's not where I was going, but
That
yeah.
would be illegal.
That's interesting. It's so weird. I suppose with every positive, someone's got to come up with a negative. So to shoot down a drone,
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny.
Yeah, it's an interesting YouTube video.
Sure. All right. And is that the only one, or
There's
thousands?
probably many. I was just
Okay.
looking the other day. Somebody posted something on Facebook, and I looked at it. And that's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, how we feeling today? We're feeling like we let the world know about drone photography. That's the thing.
I learned way more about this than I thought I would. It's
Yeah.
pretty great.
There's a lot of rules. People getting shot at with nets.
Or guns.
Trees are sometimes a liability instead of an asset.
Yeah.
I mean, we're learning all kinds here. So,
If
Josh,
you get above the trees, things look good. You just
Okay.
you gotta get there
Stay
first.
out of the tree.
one could almost say above all else.
Exactly. Get above all else. I like it.
Nice. Very cool. Well, Josh, I appreciate you coming by with Mason and myself to jibber jabber and learn about your business and all that jazz, and learn about business, small business in general.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me and asking all these informative questions. And
I have one more, naturally, just before I
Naturally.
go, right? The Peter Falk, like just one more thing, right?
Yeah.
What is the one piece of advice you would give to anyone that was considering starting a business?
one piece of advice to consider when starting a business. Just give it time. I mean, business takes time, and don't be afraid when it doesn't happen overnight.
Sure.
I know you can get annoyed, get frustrated. It happens all the time. Hey, why isn't this growing? Why am I not making $1 million a year? But, pick something that you love and just keep going with it. And, if it's truly what you want to do and truly what you think you should be doing,
Sure.
just keep going. And, there's going to be a lot of naysayers, but, just be as prepared as possible and give your customer a good product, and
Awesome.
you'll do well.
I love it. I love it. And tell us the website one more time, Josh.
MadisonDronePhotos.com.
Okay, how can you forget that, right? MadisonDronePhotos.com. All right, well, I appreciate you guys listening here. This is James Kademan, and we have
Mason Tickman.
Mason Tickinen just rocking the house here. So I appreciate you stopping by. Catch us every Wednesday at 103.5 in Sun Prairie and about 2 feet outside of that. Otherwise, we are on drawincustomers.com. Just click on the link for podcast, and you can check us out. I guess I'll figure out how to push some buttons, make some magic happen here, and we appreciate you stopping by. How do we make this work? That's almost funny. Okay, this has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggles, stories, and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Studios Radio, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. We'd like to thank you and our guest, Josh Kluge of Above All Else Photography, and my mom for never teaching me how to enunciate. Find us every night 103.5 Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m., as well as at the sunprairiemediacenter.com. Morning, noon, and night at drawingcustomers.com. Stay awesome and enjoy the process. Thank you, guys.